The murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman shocked the world when we learned of their deaths on the evening of June 12, 1994. Renfrew James Simpson was a prime suspect in the homicide investigation, but would eventually be acquitted of the crime of murder. The high-profile case would go on to be considered the trial of the century, with many people believing he had gotten off scot-free. So, was he really guilty of the crime of killing his wife and her friend? Well, in this week's episode of Strangeries, we are going to investigate the so-called lost confession of O.J. Simpson. O.J. had spent more than 10 years playing as a running back for the National Football League, having achieved several career highlights, including being named as national champion in 1967 and earning many other awards throughout his American football career, going on to become a broadcaster, actor and advertising spokesman. He met his first wife, Marguerite Whitley, at high school, marrying her at the age of 19 in 1966. It seemed at this point he had it all. He was a famous NFL player, he had a beautiful wife who just happened to be his high school sweetheart. Everything was going his way. Then, in 1977, he met Nicole Brown when she was just 18, whilst working as a waitress at the private Beverly Hills club, The Daisy. Although he was still married to Marguerite, he began dating Nicole and would divorce his first wife in March of 1979. O.J. and Nicole married on February 2, 1985, 5 years after his retirement from the NFL. The marriage lasted 7 years, in which they had 2 children. On February 25, 1992, Nicole began proceedings for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Brown and Simpson tried reconciling their relationship in 1993. Unfortunately, their efforts to reconcile were not successful. During the afternoon of June 12, 1994, Nicole and O.J. attended their daughter's dance recital, but it was clear that she was distancing herself from him, going on to exclaim that he was not welcome near her family anymore. During the evening, Nicole was at home waiting for her friend and restaurant waiter Ronald Goldman to arrive. She had been to the restaurant Mezzaluna that he worked in with her mother, who telephoned to notify them that she had left her sunglasses there. Nicole then called Ron at the restaurant, who agreed he would bring them over when he finished work. At around 6:30 p.m, O.J. spoke with his house guest Brian Kalin, telling him he was upset with her because she was wearing a tight dress and she wouldn't allow him to go to the restaurant. Nicole had probably already been attacked when Goldman arrived at her condo. He is believed to be the person that neighbours heard shouting and was then stabbed on the walkway. Prosecutors stated that the murders took place at around 10:15 p.m. Nicole's dog was taken in by neighbours who noticed red spots on its paws. They took the dog for a walk at midnight, which led them to the gruesome discovery of both bodies. Nicole had been so brutally attacked that she was almost decapitated. Goldman is said to have put up a significant fight for his life. Sadly, this wasn't enough and he would succumb to a massive 22 stab wounds. Scratch marks were found on his shoes, which indicated he was likely kicking the attacker. Detectives went to O.J.'s Rockingham estate at 12:10 a.m. on June 13th to inform him that his ex-wife had been murdered. In the back of his home, they found some blood scattered all over his white Ford Bronco. Detective Mark Furman climbed over an external wall and unlocked the gate to allow the other 3 detectives to enter as well. They argued that they entered without a search warrant because of exceptional circumstances, specifically in this case out of fear that Simpson might have been injured also. OJ was not at home when the detectives arrived. He had already taken a flight to Chicago on a business trip. The flight left at 11:45 PM on June 12. They briefly interviewed Kaylin, who was staying in the guest house, and in a walk around of the premises, Furman discovered a second bloody glove. It was later determined to be a match of the glove found at the murder scene. Through DNA testing, the blood on this glove was matched to both victims. This, together with other pieces of evidence collected at both scenes, was determined to be probable cause to issue an arrest warrant for OJ. Lawyers then convinced the LAPD to allow Simpson to turn himself in at 11 AM on June 17th. Although the double murder charge meant that no bail would be set and a first-degree murder conviction could result in a death penalty. More than 1,000 reporters waited for Simpson at the police station, but he did not arrive. At 2 PM, the LAPD issued an all-points bulletin. Then, at 5 PM, Robert Kardashian, a friend of OJ's and one of his defense lawyers, read a letter written by OJ to the media. In the letter, he sent greetings to 24 friends and wrote, "First, everyone understand I had nothing to do with Nicole's murder. Don't feel sorry for me, I've had a great life." Some interpreted this as a suicide note. Simpson's mother, Eunice, collapsed after hearing it, and reporters joined the search for him. OJ's lawyer, Robert Shapiro, was present at Kardashian's press conference and said that Simpson's psychiatrist agreed with the suicide note interpretation. Over the television, Shapiro appealed to OJ to surrender. At around 6:20 PM, a motorist in Orange County notified police after seeing Simpson riding in a white Ford Bronco that was being driven by his longtime friend Al Cowlings. The police tracked calls from Simpson on his cell phone. At 6:45 PM, police officer Ruth Dixon saw the Bronco head north on Interstate 405. When she caught up to it, Cowlings yelled out that Simpson was in the back seat of the vehicle and had a gun to his own head. The officer backed off, but followed the vehicle at 35 miles an hour, with up to 20 police cars following her in the chase. More than 9 helicopters eventually joined the pursuit. The high degree of media participation caused camera signals to appear on incorrect television channels, and the chase was so long that one helicopter ran out of fuel, forcing its station to ask another for a camera feed. Radio station KNX also provided live coverage of the low-speed pursuit. USC sports announcer Peter Arbogast and station producer Cash Limbach contacted former USC coach John McKay to go on the air and encourage Simpson to end the pursuit. McKay agreed and asked Simpson to pull over and turn himself in instead of committing suicide. "My God, we love you, Juice. Just pull over and I'll come out and stand by you all the rest of my life." LAPD detective Tom Lange, who had previously interviewed Simpson about the murders on June 13th, realised that he had Simpson's cellular phone number and called him repeatedly. A colleague hooked a tape recorder up to Lange's phone and captured a conversation between Lange and Simpson, in which Lange repeatedly pleaded with Simpson to throw the gun out of the window for the sake of his mother and children. Simpson apologised for not turning himself in earlier that day and responded that he was the only one who deserved to get hurt and was just going to go with Nicole. Cowlings' voice is overheard in the recordings after the Bronco had arrived at Simpson's home surrounded by police, pleading with Simpson to surrender and end the chase peacefully. During the pursuit, and without having a chance to hear the taped phone conversation, Simpson's friend interpreted his actions as an admission of guilt. Authorities tried to prosecute him for murder in the first degree, but in October of 1995, at the end of a lengthy 9-month trial, he was acquitted of both their murders. However, in 1997, during a civil trial, a jury found him liable for the wrongful death of Ron Goldman. His family were awarded $19.5 million in damages. Now, fast forward to 2006, O.J. Simpson is being interviewed by Fox in what he described as a hypothetical situation in which he hypothetically killed them both. He states during the interview that he was the only person who knows what happened that night. Now, is that a confession, even though he said it was just hypothetical? He goes on to laugh maniacally as if he was boasting about it, like he was amazed that he had gotten away with it.
I hate to say this, but this is hypothetical. I'm sorry. I know we got to back up again.
It's okay.
Well, I think he's confessed to murder.
Why would an innocent man behave in such a grotesque manner as to laugh about the brutal murders of two people? But that's just my opinion. I want you to be the jury. Do you think that this was his way of confessing without repercussion? The other question I want to ask is, why did it take Fox until March the 11th this year to air this interview? What stopped them before? For anyone who wants to watch this interview in full, I will put a link in the description so you can decide for yourself if you think this was OJ's lost confession. Let's not forget that OJ is hardly free of criminal conviction. In October of 2008, he was found guilty of armed robbery and was sentenced to 33 years in prison with eligibility for parole in 9 years. He was released from prison on October the 1st, 2017 during the middle of the night to avoid a huge media circus. Some believe that he did indeed murder both Nicole and Ron, and that this prison sentence was at least some justice for their deaths. So, given all the evidence, the bloody glove at his home, the blood spattered on his Ford Bronco, the glove found at the murder scene, the blood that was matched to both victims, his questionable actions after the fact, namely the ridiculously long police chase, would you as a juror find him guilty of the crime of murdering Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman in the first degree? Let me know your verdict in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel and you like strange but true stories like this, you should definitely subscribe for weekly content. Thanks for watching.